And right after Bandit's betrayal, we're dropped right back into Arnis. They didn't even think of tying us up or putting us in prison or anything. Kind of an oversight. There are absolutely no guns in this section, which is a complete change from the rest of the game. So you're forced to use psychic powers, but we will be getting our last usable psychic power in this section. These are the last new enemy of the game. These are Aurelian rebels. They're basically a palette swap of our normal Aurelian friends. The only difference is that their insta-kill melee moves have been removed. They still have some sort of melee fatalities, but they don't kill you. They're sort of like grabs.
Bring it on.
So this section is basically just lasting out against this set of Aurelian rebels. They keep flooding through that door. Eventually the door opens. It's kind of an irritating section, but it gives me a chance to level up Aeon Pulse, which usually does not see all that much leveling from me. Especially the new psychic power in this area pretty much replaces Aeon Pulse in a lot of ways. It's more powerful, and, well, we'll see it briefly. So, something that's not exactly spelled out, mentioned this in the thread, is that Bandit is the traitor who called the Seekers up once they found Edamea. They don't explicitly say this, but it's pretty heavily implied, and there's still some cut dialogue that has a lot of references to a spy being in your myths. And it was sort of kind of a theme that didn't end up making it into the final game, I think. This map is as easily breakable as it was in early Chapter 5. Just break the glass and charge jump out of the map. There's also one big break I found with time shift, now that we have time shift for this section, that is pretty severe. It's pretty problematic. I'll show it off in one of the breaking videos. Some of the early promotional screenshots showed Gideon fighting off some Aurelians and killing Aurelians and whatnot. At first I thought that was a little misleading, but then I realized that there is this section in which you're killing Aurelians, so it's not all that big of a deal. Whoa, that guy really got out there. It's so easy to break out of the map, even the AI does it. Hey man, only I can break out of the map. At least he got his comeuppance. Downance. Anyways, Enorm's in the council room on trial right now, so let's go save him from Bandit and Savan.
So now it becomes painfully obvious that this traitor has sold our centuries of labor and trust for what? For a myth! Will the destruction of our world, the wholesale eradication of our race, be worth the discovery of these hairy little primates, Enorum?
You irreverent fools. You've become one of them, haven't you? Have you not seen what these humans are capable of? The Seekers are killing you because they are terrified of the powers they possess.
If these humans are so amazingly powerful, Wysenor, then why are they practically extinct?
This debate is pointless, Savan. None of us here belong to the old faith. The few members of the council who did left when the coup began. We're not here to validate the deity of these humans. Let us get this sentencing over with and move on.
Yes. What has been the Seeker response to the coup?
The Seekers vow that their response will be measured, as long as we deliver the rest of the complicit party as we take them into custody.
The rest?
We have already delivered one of your exalted ones into their hands. The other will be there shortly.
This ends now.
You, the troglodyte, dares intrude upon our deliberations.
It appears a blow to the head was not enough to teach you proper etiquette, human. Perhaps something more direct is required.
And our final psychic power is Shatter. Shatter is very similar to Aeon Pulse to start with. You fire an ice shard directly into someone, and it explodes about a second later. But as we level it up, it'll change a little bit, and we'll start sending off more ice shards that will cause more explosions, and it'll do a lot more damage. It's a lot more powerful than Aeon Pulse is, and it eats up about the same amount of psychic energy. So at this point, using Aeon Pulse is somewhat pointless, except for the Aeon Beam, which you unlock at level 5, which is not that likely in this scenario. But anyways, Baneth is pretty easy. Basically, he's a normal Aurelian with more health, and he does not use anything other than melee. He doesn't use his Aurelian pulse gun. So that cutscene where Norm's on trial, that one's sort of infamously desynced audio-wise. The normal game has it desynced by about 3 seconds or so, which is pretty annoying to try to watch and listen to. So you have to excuse me if it's not exactly on time, but it's sort of hard to match it up exactly as they intended it to, because I think that the cutscene itself is somewhat desynced even with the sound right. Oddly enough, Baneth is not affected by Surge. He's one of the few enemies in the game who is actually not able to be pushed back. You can lift him, but this is one of the instances in which you can't do it. And he's already down.
Where is Marin?
Your female is safe. We had to make a trade for the survival of our world. The Seekers would accept nothing else.
Exalted One, we must go. I know where the Enkul will be holding Marin. If you wish to live long enough to save her, we must go now.
These Aurelians are a little late to spawn in. The common misconception about Savan is that he was sort of the mastermind behind the whole betrayal subplot, but I actually don't think that's how it is. He strikes me as a lackey who was forced into it by the Seekers, especially because of his close connection with the Seekers, being the ambassador and everything. I actually think Baneth was more in charge of the whole betraying thing, because he was with you on the Aurelian mothership, sold you out to the Seekers, and then tried to kill you off or capture you in the Ansible. He caused the death of a Kale inside the Ansible, who I believe was assigned to him. And he was also going to try to do lots of other things. And I think he did not expect a Norm to go into the Ansible with him. That's just what I assume, though. None of this is explicitly said in the game. One of the times when I was playing through this section, I broke out of the map and bypassed several objectives, and it caused such a mess in the council room. It spawned 2 Savans and about 8 Enorms inside that room. For a reason I don't understand, it's like they mismatched the Aurelian spawn types. But there's another section where you basically just have to fight off Aurelian rebels for a bit, and then we get some cutscenes, and we move on to chapter 6. And now with level 2 Shatter, we fire 2 shots, and they travel in an arc, which is actually kind of irritating, especially when there's a guy right in front of you. I'll go more into that later.
What's going on? Where did they go?
They have pulled back to regroup for the final onslaught. It has been the highest honor. Halt! These are ours! Status report.
We've just secured the main ports and transit points of Avernus. The Eastern Rebels' defenses are crumbling, and their Seeker support is falling back to the islands. We've won, Commander.
This victory will not be complete until every last Seeker claw is torn from our world. We have much to do.
We have caught an enemy unprepared. It is an enemy nonetheless, who outnumbers our fleet 2 to 1, who has superior weapons and hard fortifications. 3 wings of our fleet have trapped the remnants of the Seeker Armada in the skies above the main Seeker base on the island of Tehran. The rest of the fleet is converging on this point. The Seekers see this base as the anchor to their rule over our world, and are confident that they can hold it indefinitely. We are about to prove otherwise. We rise from the water with the coming dawn, and burn these demons from off our world in one fatal strike! The entirety of our fleet will strike at dawn as well, and fill the air with such fire and noise as has not been seen on this world since its creation. Dawn approaches, brethren. Hone your blades.
First thing you do once you get into Chapter 6 is get behind cover, because this section has it out for you. There are hit scan seekers inside the little bases over here, but they're not actually inside. There's actually invisible things firing at you, hit scan. And if you travel too far up the beaten path to the right or the left, they will insta-kill you with artillery fire. I remember when I first played this on the Xbox, I thought this was the most unpolished section of any in the game. If you stray too far, the game doesn't like it and kills you instantly. You know, enemies firing on you that don't exist, stuff like that. And it's kind of annoying because you usually don't feel like you're led on a certain path, even though it is pretty linear. But this section really just confines you, and it's very irritating. This wreckage here is actually a Seeker skiff, an unused vehicle in the game. To what extent, I don't know. But I would have looked at it more, but I actually did not realize that was what that was when I played through this section. Now we have to climb up here and go through the defensive rampart to get to a console to open a door for us, get into the next section. This is the island of Tehran. The objectives list for this level, the first objective is storm the beaches of Trakar. Now, it could be the beaches are called Trakar or something like that, but I think the objectives list is actually somewhat older than the actual final game setup is. So I think the original name of the island of Tehran was the island of Trakar. This section is a little rough because they shamelessly spawn a lot of Seekers in here. There's sort of a recurring theme of spawning enemies on top of you. But all you have to do is go up here, hit the console, then run back out. But I figured this is the best section for actual combat in this area. Also, those Aurelian ships that were dropping off troops, that is the only spot, that cutscene is the only area where you see those vehicles. They are not in any other part of the game, and I can't even find them in like the game's static meshes or anything. Interesting details though is that the Aurelian dropship and some Aurelian hover tanks are actually back there. They spawn a bunch of Seeker shock troops down here. Luckily they're lasers, so they're not that bad. Oh, and this is lava here in these little pools, if you hadn't guessed. It'll be a common theme for the rest of the chapter, because the island of Tehran is actually a volcano. When you jump in lava, it's basically like jumping off a cliff. You die instantly, although getting doesn't fall over or anything. It's just somewhat unusual. Something I haven't shown off is how Gideon moves in water. It's actually very unusual. I'll have to make a video showing that off. As you can see, Shatter is pretty effective against Seeker shock troops. But that's going to be the end of this update. Tune in next time when we probe deeper into the Seeker base. See you then.